Welcome everyone to Champions of the Fog. I am your host for today, Demi, and I am joined by the wonderful, the fantastic Aria. How are you doing today, Aria? Are you excited for this match between Silence and Mortality?
We got Despair and Mortality. Yeah, we got Despair and Mortality. These are the top two teams right now in our Group A of Group C. So the first group of Group B. And I mean, while there isn't too many stakes going into this because neither team can lose playoffs at this point, by the looks of it, it's still an interesting matchup nonetheless because this is likely going to decide who is the #1 spot in their group. So I think that's enough stakes, at least for this matchup.
Yeah, definitely you always want to consider like whoever's #1 because you always have like the most going into that. It is going to be quite curious because I'm confused on why they chose Chucky because like I love Chucky, don't get me wrong. Chucky's one of my favorite killers. However, Chucky is kind of weaker now than he was compared to. We are going to be taking the first state chase onto Frames Unknown towards space, but like we're just going to consistently be leaving. Alexi deciding to go off onto someone else, and now going to be towards the gallows. We do see the corrupt intervention into effect. Going to be looking around. I won't get the mind game. Oh my God, Arya, that's a game changer.
I mean, yeah, free first tag like that, much like a killer like Blight. If Chucky gets a hit before he uses his power, he is in a prime position to 2-tap, but thankfully Tom making it to the Shack pallet, but they're still not going to make the window. We have Alexi playing the Atheist Killer, ignoring the God pallet, immediately getting the down onto Tom, and I'd say this is in a pretty decent spot if Alexi has the basement. Right here inside of our common gen spread here in DDS, usually around this campsite side of the map, we have a 3-gen. So I'm sure Alexi's more than happy to take Survivor right down there, and they get a God pallet out of the way as well. So pretty good trade-off.
Yeah, actually, fantastic job from Alexi, managing to get that Shack pallet and still able to control. They did give up 1 gen for this though, so we'll be able to like get a little bit more pressure coming from the survivors. We do see 2 survivors on different gens as well in the background, and then 1 kind of floating. But more than likely, the only Tom, I'm sorry, I just don't see a way this man's coming out of basement. It's going to be rough, especially with how fast Chucky's able to move with power. The real key is going to be how the body blocks come out of basement, and if they choose to survive, like if they're choosing to send the survivor to second, or if they're just going to entirely just like roll gens and sacrifice the survivor. It's really going to be up to the team though, Arya.
Yeah, I think right now what we're seeing, I'm surprised that nobody's hovering closer to the basement. We have DM Rule on a gen inside of the campsite, and that's definitely one they need to be pressuring. But if Alexi decides to head over here, nobody is in a position to get this fast pull. Xerix does have... Okay, so that's going to be interesting. Okay, we have just seen one of the perks Xerix has. Not going to reveal it yet. This play could come through, but Alexi going to go be pressuring Xerix. That's going to leave DM Rule with a wide open opportunity to get down to basement. But now that they're on second hook, like you said, that's a tag that Alexi just got. They can go straight back to basement. It's going to be difficult to get them out. They're going to need a well-timed body block. And actually, this is Frames Unknown getting the pull. DM Rule's going to commit to their gen, punishing Alexi for this camp. They are going to end up popping 3 gens by the time that... At least 3 gens by the time this tunnel out comes out. And the only Tom still has this entire campsite side of the map with another hit coming through and another hit as well. Okay, they're going to try possibly getting out of here. The problem with a lot of these pallets, campsite is usually a target kind of priority area for chase when the 3-gen's broken on this map. But the problem is, this is Chucky. Chucky is barely taller than the grass on this map, so being able to see him around some of these tiles is incredibly difficult. And it looks like the survivors wanted to get Tom out of this side of the map, but the hit tanks just aren't going to quite be able to come through in time. They're going to be stuck here, but they do pop a 3rd gen, and I think they have a chance at popping this 4th one, but DM Rule is kind of zoned to the edge map right next to it now, so doesn't look like that's quite going to happen, but they're in a bad spot. There's 4 injuries on the board. They're opting for a reset. That's a hook, though, on the all of their progress.
I actually prefer this reset because this way they can get their Death Hook survivor back to full health and everything. The issue is where the hook ended up being is right next to that highly progressed gen in the 3-gen area. Well, at least I believe it's the 3-gen. Yes, it does look to be... No, actually, it's not a 3-gen in that area. The 3-gen spread all across the map, so they can actually kind of leave that gen later on to like come back to if they need to. More than likely, they want to try and progress this middle gen area. And we do see Chucky getting onto the chase, trying to find out where Frames Unknown is, but not continuing chase. Noah's main building is very much not in Chucky's favor. And honestly, this map's kind of rough for Chucky in first place because you can get caught on so many things as being a little Chucky man, because you can get caught on a little bit of the stairs and everything. It's very difficult to find your way around this map, as well, you do get blessed because you're blinded in, you're blended in with everything. But it is also incredibly difficult because you do get caught on stairs very easily. I'm quite curious on if they're gonna like sacrifice DRM rule or DM rule to go second as well. He is going to be securing second here, so more than likely coming that out to his team. They're going to be cranking out these last 2 gens more than likely, probably doubling one of them, but another gen probably going to be going. And now we do get the confirmation of second hook state onto DM rule. Now it's going to be the only Tom and DM rule who are both on death hook. This could end up being a very bad situation unless they pop both these gens, Arya.
Yeah, it's notable, like you said, these gens aren't the closest together. However, I think Alexi is still in a decent spot because that mid-gen is kind of just is smack dab in the open. They have a few pallets that lead into main there, but not enough to make a lasting chase, and Alexi just full swinging through the pallet. There's got to be someone here for the pallet save. Otherwise, yeah, that's just going to be a kill. They don't have any progress on that mid-gen either. They're going to have to split these two, but that's a death, and they do still have someone on second. The gen Xerix is on. That was the one that got hit by Pain Res earlier. It does still have good progress, but unfortunately, Chase is going to be taken next to it, and based on where Chase was earlier, there's not really many resources to use from here, especially if you're getting hit through the pallet while dropping it. They have to go right next to that mid-gen, and I mean, this is just going to cause a lot of interruption for the survivors. But Xerix, good use of the light there, being able to make it to Water Tower, and yeah, Alexi's not going to want to commit to that. Unless they do, they're debating on whether or not they want to push these survivors off the gen, but now that they have Xerix kind of in a difficult corner to work with against Chucky,
my God.
they can get the down. I'm actually surprised that hit.
That was amazing. Actually, shout out to Alexi for knowing the exact limits that you can push Chucky's power to. Like, that's such an area that you can like end up missing. But we did see the only Tom rotating back to that gen that was getting worked in the deep gallows area. We do see this gen getting kicked, and now we know he has to go in this. But this gen has to be close to popping. In fact, could pop as soon as he walks up on it. No, instead manages to spot out the only Tom rotating away. We'll be able to destroy this pallet. Oh, sorry, that was. No, that is the only Tom. Actually, just kidding. Haha. For some reason, I thought that was I thought that was an Adam for some reason, realizing it was a tap. But you know what? That's because I'm blind and I don't pay attention, Arya.
It's fine. We actually... Wait. Okay, so we have the second wind in play, which... It was going to be a really difficult position for the survivors if Alexi was able to commit to a chase with only Tom, but there's a bit too much progress for Alexi's liking. They're not going to want to commit to that chase and try getting a second kill and risk losing the last gen. So instead, they're going to be hunting their fresh hooks here. And, I mean, right as they're committing to this, that's going to be the last gen popping. And Frames Unknown has a bit of a surprise for Alexi because they might not have an Adren, but they do have a balanced landing, which was beautifully timed off a main. And, I mean, if Frames Unknown runs Alexi long enough here, there is a chance that somebody like Tom comes in for a hit tank to get them to a gate. That would be a lot less stages. And I think that we do see a survivor coming in for a hit tank right in time, but they don't make it. And unless this is FTP, this is going to be a guaranteed last fresh being taken, or one of the last freshes being taken from Alexi, and that's an extra 3 hook stages to add to the counter. So even though Alexi might not have gotten the 4K at 1 gens remaining, they do still get a lot of value if they can manage to secure this kill. But it looks like the survivors are going to be hanging nearby to harass, possibly. This is definitely a doable save.
Yeah, they definitely want to look around, seeing what they can find out. If they can also get only Tom out of the game as well, that's going to make this game so much more, especially considering the fact that Xerix hasn't even like started on the gate, and the gate is so far away. And knowing that they can't even like bother unhooking, that they have one survivor trapped in this area. Yeah, we see the beamer giving him the light to where you are, only Tom. But unfortunately, I don't think Alexi's going to fall for it. Like... Both those gates are very far away, and we do see them coming through, trying to get the rescue, but it's going to end up being a trade. But I do prefer this, concerning the fact that the only Tom is the only one left on Death Hook. But we do see Balance Landing coming into play, and we are going to see him utilize power here, maybe. Body blocks coming through, but it's very hard to body block versus Chucky. Chucky going all the way through, getting them down onto frames, and now just going to be chasing out Zax. This is falling all apart. There's no way Tom is going to be able to get out through the exit gate and try to get the backflip. And can we get Zax? Can we pick him up in time? No. Oh my God,
close. That was scary.
Oh my God.
That was scary. No, but I mean, even still, that is still a major boost for Alexi. They got the best of both worlds there. They got the down onto Tom, and with a beautiful slice and dice, they got the down onto frames as well, giving them, honestly, I would say a pretty incredible Chucky result, and one that Despair could definitely match on their survivor side.
Yeah, getting a 3K10 is definitely nothing to sneeze at, especially considering like a lot of people consider Chucky very weak. And to be fair, he is very weak considering the amount of like nerfs that he's had to go through. Wiz going to be looking around, trying to play around for the pallet save. We'll see the other person dying. And now because Frames misses skill checks, we're going to be trying to stop the hatch from opening, going to be closing it up to guarantee the 3K10. But only Tom still has plenty of time to crawl. So I'm kind of curious, is he going to be able to crawl out to the exit gate? If we do see Chucky running about to the exit gate, both exit gates are open, so he has multiple options, but will he be able to lurk his way around, do you think, Alexi?
I mean, Alexi's definitely searching. Thankfully for Alexi, these two gates are fairly close together, and Chucky has a decent mobility power. You can see how much distance he just gets there across the map, so I have a feeling that they're going to be able to find Tom. I don't think, unless Tom has something like tenacity and is amazing at stealthing on the ground, I don't see how they're going to get out. And I think we might just see the bleed out onto a second hook survivor, but I mean, you never know. Maybe they're just a master of stealth. I have no idea.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be real. I don't believe in Tom here. If Tom surprises me, I'll be like absolutely gobsmacked. I'll be ecstatic because I always definitely not making it anywhere now.
No, they'll make it. They're close.
I was about to say, like, if they make it out, I'll be absolutely godsmacked. But you know what? I don't think they're gonna make it, considering they had to go all the way around Main, down the middle street, and like it's just gonna be rough for everyone involved. They'd be looking around. Might have spotted him out right there. We might get the Mori in time. Do we get the Mori? Yes! Mori! Listen, Arya, if you know me, there's one thing I love above everything else. It's the fact that we added the Mori system into the last kill. And this might be the greatest thing to ever happen to Comp Dead by Daylight. I'm just going to say it. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to Despair versus Mortality. We are going to be looking for Latex as the killer, and we're going to be looking around the main building, going to be activating our hidey ho mode, and I am Demi, joined by the fantastic, the mystical, the amazing Arya. How are you doing today?
Pretty well, and I mean, I was interested, I gotta say, when I saw this pick. We had the first game go by, it went, honestly, I feel like they got more stages than I expected. Lexi got more stages than I expected. They got 10 stages, they got all 4 fresh survivors, and I don't know, I was expecting Chucky to be a lot, I guess, weaker on this map than previously anticipated. We did have all those nerfs come in. Chucky is now a lot slower than he used to be, though he does use slice and dice for a bit longer, but I'm just looking forward to this match. I just want to see whether or not Mortality will be able to top this result. And I mean, they get a hit through the window, kind of nasty hit onto FM, and that is an early down. That's earlier than what we saw last game. But the survivors have been splitting, so they're not going to quite pop any gens just yet. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, but this is also hooked right next to an active gen as well. Knows he wants to protect the center gen, that they were in the area. And kind of like a thing that I noticed with FM that I didn't really like at the start was versus everyone else, he kept taking chase past other survivors, force him off the gen. So like, the little bit of gen progress that they could have had that ended up actually getting split away from their focus. And is it going to kick the gen, actually? Even though that is a decently high progress gen. I'm going to be looking around, seeing if we can spot out anyone. And Latex knows that his main focus is keeping the 3 gen. He needs to beat a 3K10. So he needs to at least get the first survivor out by 3 gens pop. Otherwise, that's going to be an incredibly difficult feat. And we do see, oh my God, see Sable over. But Autumn is going to be able to go back towards the area and the safety of the water tower pallet. And now Chucky Latex is just kind of like left wandering around, you know?
Yeah, I mean, what you point out that, yeah, that was definitely rough, especially with that hook being a confirmed pain resonance. We saw the gen at mid take damage. I mean, the survivors just lost so much time for that. And now, yeah, I don't think FM has anything here to actually work with. They're just going to go down. Now, thankfully for the survivors, they didn't go second the first time, but that's still a dangerous hook placement. That's going to be back at the mid-gen. Latex is going to be able to push the survivors off this mid-gen, the one at the end of the street. Like, they're going to be able to harass them and get rid of kind of the advantage that they gained during that hook time. The survivors knew they had to split those gens like we saw last game, with that survivor hooked in an less than ideal spot. And actually, Latex is instead of going for that mid-gen, they're going to opt to go towards the main building. They want to stop it from popping because they have a good 3-gen on the top side. But Autumn, not going to opt to get the unhook. They don't want this tunnel out happening too quickly. They'd rather just wait, maybe trade last second and just make gen progress for this. And I mean, Latex has a good gen spread around this area. That's basically just what it boils down to.
Yeah, he has a good gen spread, but one thing I wouldn't notice about why Autumn went in for that rescue was so that way Alexi, who's on top of main, can get away from main and pop main in time. Now we see the main popping, and that's going to be the entire 3-gen. He did not know Alexi was up there because of the fact that he got distracted by Autumn going in for the rescue. Forced Latex to make a decision, and now Latex is kind of forced go through all the motions of trying to play his power. And going to be playing all the way around. We'll be going through. We'll be missing that. Oh! You know, anytime I see Chucky rushing, I always have to just double check oh yes, he's still around. He still exists. Still a 4.6 and he's terrified. But we do see everyone back up. We do see Autumn fully reset. And it missed F1. Oh my God. But that's going to be a down right there. FM getting sent back to the campfire now, just gonna get picked up, and we do see the full resets coming through on everyone.
Yeah, I think this is definitely gonna be difficult. Latex doesn't have any particularly strong gen spread at this point, so it's almost gonna come down to how the survivors choose to play this 3v1. They have to play very slowly and methodically, because if you just give too many tags against Chucky, especially in Slice and Dice, because we have seen one survivor with a bit of that sloppy butcher add-on being affected. If they give out too many hits in the 3v1, they're going to be left in a very difficult position. Free's going to be taking a normal M1. This means that Latex will have their power ready in a second. Free's going to have to last this dash, otherwise they'll go down in the middle of the map near potential pain res hooks. And I mean, our survivors, they just don't have enough progress yet for this down. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that was absolutely a legendary curve coming through from Latex. Gonna be managing to get that. Plus, also he did have the opportunity to take it to paint, to a basement. Opts for the same pain res hook though. I understand the pain res worth so much more. We'll have another survivor also to chase in, and we'll be able to get the straight razor hit onto them. Now they're gonna be bleeding and hemorrhage, and gonna be taking this into a back area. And now it's left up to Autumn to go in for the rescue since he committed to this chase. Now it might be a 4.6 killer, but it's going to be taking a little bit of time. Also going to be just going down and getting the down. This is falling apart very fast. Can just leave the slug. It knows where everyone's at now. We'll be able to try to interrupt this reset. But Arya, this is going to be incredibly difficult to come back from.
Yeah, this is the exact position you don't quite want to find yourself in a 3v1. You don't want to end up with a slug, an injured survivor, only one person left to actually kind of pick up the others, stealth, remain healthy. And the problem is, against a killer like Chucky, a lot of the times you can't really buy more time if the killer plays correctly. A lot of these pallets just aren't safe and you don't want to die in particular spots on DDS because you can just get dragged right next to all the gen progress like we have seen here. And it almost just feels like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's nothing you can do here. Trees could have tried playing around a pallet, but they wanted to get away from the gen progress, and they're going to suffer a second hook for that. Alexi not getting reset, instead going to be stealthing towards the pool. Thankfully not getting spotted. That's actually going to be huge for the survivors that Alexi's rotation didn't quite get caught out yet. But, I mean, yeah, like, what do you even do at this point? What do you think the survivors should be trying right now?
So the main thing is like trying to even out like the gaps and like try to work his gen. Autumn needs to be going for rescue, and then like Alexi needed to be working gens. However, they ended up splitting those tasks. Does have a great gen spread. They need to be keeping this chase around main building. Main building is going to be very strong versus Chucky, especially with Chucky having the ability to use bamboozle, but with his power it's very difficult for him to like get any extra distance, comparatively speaking. Do see a gen pop, but now we know the 3 gens are going to be on the left side. They're going to be on street side. We do see a missed skill check as well, so now we know another survivor in this area. More than likely is going to be, if we do see Alexi in this area as well, we're going to be immediately chasing straight down and going to get the down onto Alexi. The only one we want to get down right now is going to be Autumn. They are going to be resetting as well. I do like having the reset coming through because it means that both your survivors going to be very silent. Now, to be fair, it's not Fang getting reset because Fang, I love my girl Fang. I've been part of Fang gang since like day one. But Fang, she loud. Versus Ace's ability to be loud, he's just like cough.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, they managed to pop that gen that Autumn was working on, which was very good for the survivors. The problem is we are at the point we have 6 hook stages in. We have 3 fresh hooks collected. That means we only need 5 more hooks, or 4 more hooks with all the fresh hooks accounted for, and that'd be a tie. But either way, they're getting awfully close to the win condition, and that's going to be 2 injured survivors at main building. Not good news considering one of them's on death hook. And I mean, they do manage to make it to the top window, but they're not actually going to be able to last. I thought Alexi managed to get in front of him in time because of Chucky being a 4.4 110 speed killer, but no, it's actually going to be the death onto trees. And I mean, if you're Latex here, what you do from here is clear. You have 7 hook stages on the board. If you find Autumn, that is your last fresh survivor. That's the last person who can safely work gens in pre-leave. And if you find them, this game could be very close to over. But that being said, we have just seen where Autumn is, and Latex is not in the right area. Instead, they're going after Alexi. So if Alexi somehow manages to last here, unfortunate. Okay, yeah, there's not much you could do against Chucky in the open. I think I just cursed him.
Yeah, that's definitely a cast a curse right there. If they manage to last, immediately down. Oh, we're checking the sound. We're checking the volume. Going to be adjusting that really quick, checking out, and manage to spot out Autumn moving through, because you know Sable's white hair is it's a little more than a little obvious, but gonna be using power, gonna be faking power. I have preferred Latex's ability to like use power to fake it, that more so than Alexi. Alexi played fantastically, don't get me wrong. But what Latex has been doing has been faking a lot of his powers, so like people panic a little bit more, and I prefer a little bit of that because it gives them the extra mind game of like, oh hey, like you kind of have to worry about this a little bit more, and maybe I'm doing this now, but maybe I'm saving it for later. Because once Chucky uses power, that's it. There's not a lot he can do beyond that. But
I mean, Autumn has managed to get the pickup before even giving out a tag. Now, unfortunately, yeah, I don't know how much that's going to amount to. But actually, we see the balance landing coming through. This game might not be over just yet. We have the Despair 2v1 coming in. That was actually a really good prediction from Latex. Not even getting faked into vaulting the window. I mean, the survivors are definitely putting up a fight here, but they're playing against the odds at this point. A 2v1 is already almost impossible.
So I have a question. When Chucky downed Fang, did he just say slay? Because honestly, absolute god tier if he did. Shout out to like the actual like makers of Dead by Daylight if he says slay for like murdering someone, because that's hilarious. Absolute god tier. And we are going to be seeing the last chase on Autumn. Autumn already being injured is going to be entirely rough, but this is... Oh, what an absolute mind game coming through from Latex on Autumn. That's going to be the 4K1 going into Mortality's favor. The proving that Chucky is not just a... What's the ranking for Chucky? Like C, D tier right now? Proving he's not a C, D tier killer, bro. Like, this man, he's throwing out all the tricks, throwing out everything he can. Winning the game is absolutely stunning fashion as Latex T. Like, honestly, like, a lot of things that any Chucky main can, like, take from and use while they're playing the game, because he used almost every trick in the book, whether it was vaulting the pallet, scampering, or whether it was faking power and managing to like check up the survivors. Now we're just gonna peek at the sky, stare at the stars, and Arya, we're just gonna enjoy the time that we have remaining.
Yeah, Autumn gonna be slowly dying there on the hook. I mean, like you said, Chucky, widely considered to be like a B, C tier killer. Not something we generally expect, but I think the most interesting thing, you pointed out how Latex was playing for the mind games, and on this map of all maps, the grass is so tall that Chucky can kind of just blend in. I think they were trying to make use out of that. But, I mean, regardless, very good set win for Mortality. Very close match that time around.
Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. We have Latex back on the Dredge versus Mortality survivors. We're gonna be, or Despair survivors. I'm sorry, I apologize for that one. I've been messing them up all day, and I'm getting really confused. But it's okay, because we're on the Hawkins laboratory. We're gonna be taking chase immediately. I am Demi, your host for today, and I am joined by the wonderful, the fantastical, and the absolutely amazing Arya. Arya, are you excited for this?
I am beyond excited, to be honest, because Dredge sets are, they're just a showcase of almost everything, at least to me, that I enjoy about killers in competitive DBD, and that's the mechanics being mixed with the overwhelming amounts of game sense that get to be put on display here. And I mean, we can already see right off the bat that Latex has both of those. They know exactly where to find the survivors at the start. They know exactly how to get these first early tags onto E9 and onto trees, and that is going to be a very early first down into this match. Exactly what we love to see in a Dredge set. Kind of filling that Nightfall meter up a bit and securing a very explosive start for Latex. And I mean, what do you expect after that lightning of a start for a Dredge?
Well, I definitely didn't expect to see trees run across Autumn's area almost like immediately. Oh no, no, Autumn. Oh my god.
Wait, it worked.
No.
It worked. It was planned. It was planned.
We can't be letting this get away with it. The Sables can't be escaping with this again. No. But a fantastic job coming from Autumn, turning a misplay into an opportunity, and ending up Latex losing track of where the survivor was because he was focused on the pallet. Is going to be transporting back, be looking in the area, does manage to pick up some scratch marks, managed to find Autumn again. Autumn does have another pot to play around, and this is what is really well known about the Hawkins, is the amount of pallets in the area. Oh god, we got yeeted. We got back to the... I didn't even notice he managed to teleport back to like the hook, and we'll be able to find out survivors now. Everyone's injured, and this looping with friends is no bueno here. Oh my god, Arya.
This is exactly the danger of Dredge, especially with what I would argue to be... Wait, oh no, not another one. No.
God.
So, here's an issue. Once a lot of tags come in against Dredge, especially with the Malthinker's skull, all hell breaks loose on the map. We see that the survivors against the Dredge in Nightfall, there's so little they can do in most circumstances, especially when they're injured. They haven't yet been able to get a reset. And bit of insider information, the team I'm on has played a lot of Dredge sets on this map, and the #1 key that we find to be useful every time is finding a room with no lockers in it to get resets on, because otherwise you see what's been happening. Latex gets Killer Instinct upon teleporting, and that just gives them a direct clue into where the resets happen. They can interrupt it, get more tags, get more downs, and it becomes this spiral, and that is exactly what we're seeing. Nightfall may have run out, but the survivors just now licking their wounds. And is it going to be enough, though? I don't even think that reset's going to be enough.
Listen, this is a tough match already as is. Plus, also, a lot of teams have not practiced Hawkins whatsoever. It's why I'm happy that Champions of the Fog is one of the few that does endorse Hawkins, because Hawkins is an absolutely legendary match. But the issue is, and as you pointed out, it's finding that key room for reset with no lockers, because there's a lot of rooms in Hawkins you have to go through trying to find the no lockers, and like, upstairs is no bueno. The specimen room is probably like the best area for resetting, but that's such an obvious reset location that it's incredibly dangerous for Dredge to end up finding anyone. Managing not to spot out Autumn in the distance, Autumn looking on, will be able to call out where he is, and now just gonna be looking, waiting in the locker, and now coming out, we'll be able to give interrupt. I think this is Georgie in this area. And we're going to be looking around, seeing if we spot out. Yes, it is indeed Georgie, Autumn, and Trees both fully healed. And we see the bloodstains on the ground. Dragon's Grip applied. And another survivor looking, seeing if we can spot out someone. We have 2 gens very low. We do have Discordance in the back pocket, so that's why these gens are lighting up yellow, so we can see whenever they're getting doubled, which is very big on it's very big on Hawkins to double gens, because gens are normally like, you want to get these gens out of the way and split the 3 gen apart as fast as possible, because if you can get a gen split between the specimen room and upstairs, you're in a lot better position. And we do see a stun coming through. Oh my god, Arya. Trees might be looping for his life, doing his best. We'll be able to get down, and we're going into the test tube, but no, ending really fast. Oh
yeah, it almost feels like there's nothing you can do a lot of the time, especially with this eruption aura reading onto 2 survivors. And I actually noticed something very interesting midway through the match. We did not see the Ruin pick coming in for a Dredge set, which is almost unthinkable to me. It feels like, along with Sloppy Butcher, one of Dredge's staple perks. And I think instead Latex opted for the eruption, or not the eruption, the corrupt intervention that we saw at the start, because that's not always something we see on Dredge sets on maps like Midwich, because of how fast of a start Dredge can get. But instead, Latex playing the safer pick and running that Dragon's Grip that we saw, which was interesting choice. I mean, it does push Autumn off of that gen for a bit, having to play safe, which in a 3v1 is not something you can often do. And I just think that was an interesting bit of cooking that we saw.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, not seeing Ruin on Dredge is like one of Dredge's staples, but it also does feel weird because instead of like Ruin, he ran Dragon's Grip instead, more so than Corrupt. Corrupt, I think, makes a lot of sense on Hawkins, because then you force the survivors to come towards you, considering they're all spawning together. And they're all spawning on like one of the bottom floors. Like, they're always going to be coming towards you. Oh my god! And Trees just has nothing to work with, bro. It's just going to be down after down, and another eruption proc. This is insane. Looking around, seeing if we can spot out anyone. And looking, seeing. Oh, shoot! We got you back. Haha! You thought you missed us, Autumn, but Latex is still here, proving to be a viable part of the competitive community. And honestly, oh my god, I thought there was still a pallet there, and I was really worried, but oh, never mind. I thought Autumn made that. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Autumn was safe, but Latex knows more than me.
It was so close, and I mean, 2 slugs on the ground. Latex just trying to find the last survivor. They're injured. It's nightfall. They're gonna be getting that killer instinct if they're anywhere near a locker. Like, I feel like it's only a matter of time until Georgie gets found here, unless we see some of the most insane stealth. And, I mean, we kept talking about the Ruin. This is where not having Ruin could theoretically have the biggest impact. I'm not saying it will, but in the case that they aren't able to find Georgie and survivors start to get picked up, that means that these gens haven't actually been actively regressing the whole time. Latex has to go around and kick them. That being said, they have eaten a few eruption procs.
Oh.
And yeah, that's going to be the last 2 survivors spotted, and trying to last on some of these pallets is quite the task. A lot of these are playable with Dredge's Remnant, and we see that Latex has a perfect understanding of how to use it on this map. And it's a game of patience here. Latex has already shown that they have what it takes, and that is going to be another down onto trees that they're going to opt to pick up this time. Going to give the survivors a bit of a chance to pick themselves up, maybe try to get a tiny bit of progress, but Latex knows it perfectly well. The survivors are not an enviable spot.
Yeah, one thing I do want to like throw out about Latex, how he's been playing this game has been utterly phenomenal. The amount of times he just replaces his remnant. He'll notice he's put his remnant in a bad position and he just lets go of it entirely, keeps him at the same loop, places it down like half a second later to get even faster down because he notices the misplacement. Absolutely fantastic gameplay, full understanding of the killer, knowing where and when to place these. And we notice whenever he uses those remnant teleports, I don't think he's missed a single one since the start of this entire map. And Autumn, I gotta say, like, he's coming. We don't know where he's coming from, but he's coming. There he is. Okay, now we know. Now you can loop. I hate that.
This is just rough no matter how you got it. There's nothing that Autumn can do here. They might be able to get a pickup, but I feel like this is going to be almost one of those get down, Mr. President moments. They pick them up and they're back down again.
When you sacrifice the president to live for yourself, this is a bad Secret Service agent. I'm sorry, Autumn. We're going to have to fire you.
Yeah, they actually do make the pallet. Autumn gonna give us the 1v1 display that we were looking for here. And they actually get the whiff.
You got the teleport?
Wait. Now there's no pallet, though. Now it's a standoff.
Now it's a stare down.
Through the Western
but to be fair, so
music.
I actually don't mind this because if Georgie's able to crawl to a corner, that can give a fresh... They can give up a fresh entirely from here. Autumn knowing like going into the grab is also understandable. They could have wasted a little bit more time by going down right there instead of doing the vault and going into the grab animation. But Georgie could actually try to escape to an area with no lockers to try to kind of like deny a fresh hook for later. Now, am I saying this like 4K4 is going to be entirely like the like hardest result ever? No. But I'm just saying if Despair comes through with their killer 4K4 and Georgie bleeds out, that's a win for Despair.
Definitely something to keep in consideration. That being said, Latex has been... Yeah, they do find this slug. I was going to say, either way, they have been teleporting to get their Nightfall meter up so that they would have the extra TPs. So they had a plan in their back pocket for this situation.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult to escape from Dredge, especially considering the fact when you're on the ground, you still do kind of like have to bleed out. And then once you go into Nightfall, it does just make it even more obvious to our competitive killers where you are on the ground because those blood trails are disgusting. Unfortunately, it was going to be Georgie on the hook, and Georgie being on the hook as ace is super quiet. So they did have an opportunity there. But 4K4, oh my God, Latex. This is a fight between a 1 and 2. This is like between an A tier team and a B tier. I swear.
It was an incredibly good showing. Like I was saying at the start, Dredge incorporates the mechanics with the game sense, and that is exactly what we saw from Latex. They played around these tiles so perfectly with their power. Like you said, when they might have misplaced a remnant slightly, they just took a second, replaced it, and continued the chase, not risking giving up anything, any room to the survivors. And we saw what it gave them here. It gave them so many tags, so many downs, and just an insane result overall.
Yeah, an absolutely insane result. Like, to be fair, so all Mortality needs to do to win is pop 2 gens. And if you're a comp team worth anything of your salt, popping 2 gens should be easy. Now, a lot of teams haven't practiced Hawkins, so we'll never know. But we will find out in a couple minutes once we get the new lobby set up. Alrighty, everyone, welcome back into Autumn's best killer ever, the Dredge, who Autumn has like played the entirety of like 10 hours on. But I digress. We have Despair versus Mortality, the number 1 versus the number 2 seed. And guess what? Mortality needs to get 2 gens popped in order to win the 2-0 sweep. And honestly, it's going to be looking very likely. I'm excited to see how this plays out. I'm Demi, your host for today, joined by the fantastic, the mystical, the amazing, Arya, how are you doing today? Are you excited? Do you think this is gonna? Do you think this is gonna end up in like a 4K5 scenario?
If it does, I'm gonna have to. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna have to do for Autumn, but that's just gonna be a miracle for Autumn if she manages to get that result. That will be a massive hats off moment, just a massive GG's. But to do that, we're going to need to find a good first chase to take, and that's already going to be a totem getting cleansed in the distance. So that tells us that one of Autumn's perks is out of the game already, but still trying to find this first survivor to chase. We did briefly see one, but not quite committing to anything just yet. Their survivors have fully spread around the map at this point, so trying to find a concentration that's going to be difficult, but Autumn does manage to find more in a decently difficult position. Now the question is going to be, will they be able to win the Remnant? And they will. That is going to result in a very nice first tag and the activation of the Malthinker Skull add-on.
Yep, definitely gonna be able to get that tag in really quick. However, a lot of time has been kind of like wasted. We do have the hex that we did see go disappear was going to be undying, unfortunately. So all the extra information that we got is just absolutely gone, and now they're just bloodlusting. Oh my god! Oh, no way! We just walked through. Oh, no respect to pallets whatsoever. We see two Jets, two Jets, high progress, and this is will we be able to get the hook in time? No, not even a pain res coming through. So it's just gonna guarantee we're just like not opting for these gens whatsoever. We're just opting to teleport around, see if we get nearby with these gens, but they're just gonna commit to this gen, right? You just commit here? No. Ends up not committing, no, realizes they don't have the time, but probably calming that out towards the enemy. And not looking around, seeing if they can find out Autumn. Autumn going to be swinging through the pallet, unfortunately falling for it. And now Xerix just has a little bit to work with. Be dropping the pallet there. Autumn's going back to end up getting that survivor out of the area, but it leaves Xerix to hop back on the gen. Oh no.
I think... Yeah, I think if I'm not wrong, what we're seeing here is that Autumn's teammates have calmed. Well, this is going to be an almost insurmountable win con. We just want you to play for the best result possible here. We want you to play like you have maybe a 4K1 win condition or something, just to give you a bit of a better showing. Keep the team's morale up. Even though this, actually, I believe it is Despair's last game of group stage, it at least gives you a good out if Autumn ends up still getting a 4K on the Dredge, even though, as we heard before, Autumn herself saying she doesn't play this killer all too often, but I mean, even still, she's still not actually in a bad spot. We have the Nightfall, we have an injury, we have another survivor up on the hook, and gonna be getting another one. More not quite knowing what direction Autumn's coming from. I mean, this is still a decent amount of pressure to be gained right now, and even interrupting the reset. So, I mean, Autumn could still pull through. That's not going to be a win for them on this set, but anything you can take at this point will do.
Yeah, especially considering for later on, like before earlier in the season, Despair played Prism in a Dredge set. Prism ended up taking that, what was it, a zero stage victory for Prism? Like, absolutely disgusting, and showing that Despair doesn't practice just like versus Dredge whatsoever. And obviously not well practiced versus Dredge, hasn't really attempted too much, especially being on Hawkins is a rare comp map for to see. So a lot of teams aren't used to playing this. A lot of teams are used to Dredge on Midwich, which is fairly more common. You have kind of like standard areas to take chases to. You also have like certain tiles that you're used to seeing like every so often, and we are going to be taking chase on some more. But oh no, playing this swinging through in a whiff. But listen, we have one in the background. We're hoping, we're praying. Oh, never mind. We don't have it anymore. I lied. I'm just kidding. So all three hexes are gone. So I think it's okay for us to say them out loud. But we had Hex Devour Hope, Undying, and Ruin. So the Devour Hope was like the Hail Mary of Hail Marys and Dead by Daylight comp area.
I mean, yeah, it goes up in the collection book alongside such perks as Knockout, Third Seal, stuff like that when it comes to steep win cons. You want just anything you can get there, and I mean, Autumn still, again, not in a bad spot, and we do hear that token once again chiming, so that does tell us that trouble is afoot for the survivors of Mortality. Autumn trying to find out a survivor on the upstairs gen. That is a particularly good one to find someone on. They do find themselves in a very difficult spot, but Autumn's still trying to track the survivor upstairs, and they do eventually get the killer instinct on them and actually going to zone themselves away from the window, resulting in another down. But down to 1 gen remaining already. The survivors have been making very good use of their time, even staying injured when they have to, just so that they can keep slamming these gens and try to get outs from this match.
Yeah, I also appreciate how quickly they're going for pulls. They're going for pulls during resets, and like whenever Autumn teleports away, knowing Autumn has a little bit of time before recovery, before they can teleport back, so they're able to make a little bit extra distance. And looking around, seeing if we spot out DM rule. Oh, dope. We're going to be seeing the survivor running straight around, but can't teleport because of the fact survivor's on hook. This place is entirely safe to loop around. And now just going to be chasing down, running it down, walking it down. The only Tom just lurking around a corner, dropping pallets. And now going to be kind of like breaking off the line of sight, but does have another pallet to play around. We'll be continuing the chase. And now we're seeing if we can get this early tag. Nope. Quick vault. And only Tom's playing this like an absolute feed up. Greetings here. It's going to end up being a hit, but the firecracker goes down. But Autumn is like, no, I don't believe in firecrackers. And we do find the Devour Hope into play being shown. And now they're on it immediately. And Autumn's worried, bro. Like, there's no way you're not. There's no way to like DM rule die here.
And secured. Okay, so I think Autumn can still hope for the 4K1 here unless Derek's manages to pull off the stealth play of the century, but did they end up... I actually don't think they ended up cleansing the totem because they didn't want to give away their position. Because they knew that Tom was about to go down, they knew cleansing that totem would have just given away the position. That would have been a guaranteed 4K1. And with 4 stacks of Devour...
Oh.
Okay, well, Speaking of, that's going to be the totem out of the match, and the survivors doing their best to make me not look like I know what I'm talking about. And that being said, that is going to be Xerix entering the potential final chase. I mean, if you're Autumn, this is exactly what you were playing for. Let's be honest, a 4K5 is something that is almost not feasible, so being able to get a result like a 4K1 is still something to be happy about. And that being said, that is going to be Xerix pulling lockers so that more will have a chance to pick up Tom and maybe start to make a comeback. But with the Devour Hope, with the gen still regressing, I don't completely see how they'll pull that off, but you never know. Maybe Mortality is going to surprise us right here at the end and get outs from this match.
I mean, I could only hope and pray Devour Hope was still in play, because, like, as I said previously, I am probably one of the greatest endorsers of Moris and competitive Dead by Daylight, because like we don't see enough of them. I want to see more, but unfortunately we got stopped at 4 tokens. Head on. Yay, head on. We were talking about this earlier. We were like, yes, we'll never expect it. They'll get it off for sure. And you know what? They got it off for sure. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, respect to only Tom for going for the head on play.
And respect to Autumn for that beautifully timed teleport. That was a wonderful down coming through. And now giving Autumn the information on the last survivors, and they are going to end up splitting, but Autumn can masterfully cut them off from the pickup. And it looks like Autumn might be settling to go back for the pickup and, well, pick them up. But once again, having the wonderfully placed stair hook as well. So trying to keep the pressure up on the survivors, but they have had a chance to get back up, start progressing these gens once again, and possibly still have their chance of getting outs. But that being said, the Nightfall kind of throwing more off guard here, not fully understanding what direction Autumn's coming from, and Autumn just swinging through the pallet, does not care at all.
Yeah, that was nasty. Like, Autumn's just like entirely throughout this entire game, it's just like, what are pallets? You throw these, I throw myself. It's okay. I have tentacles that reach across the eternity of Dead by Daylight sphere of influence, and like now Moore's getting sent back to the campfire. Moore's really desperately wishing they would have pre-dropped right there, because I know I would be.
Yeah, but it's always so tempting to go for the stun sometimes, you know? It's so rewarding.
I listen. I'm a big fan of the Stone Cold Stunner, but you know what? The one thing I've learned in comp is that pre-dropping is truly golden, because then you guarantee you're never getting hit across the pallets.
I suppose you're right with that. I suppose you're right, but nothing will ever stop me from getting hit through pallets because I tried to greet them for a bit too long.
But we do have another pallet to play around. We'll be getting the drop, extending the distance, and no pallet in the inner room, but we do have a pallet off to the left side. We'll be able to make it in time. No! Xerix is down. He's out, and that is going to be a 4K1 for Autumn. Autumn waiting for the sacrifice of the only Tom, so we can get in this final Mori in this 2-0 game. And honestly, kind of a fantastic coming through for Mortality. Mortality playing both sets absolutely like stellarly. Like I could not ask for any better gameplay coming from Mortality, whether it was Killer or whether it was Survivor Aria.
Definitely agreed. They put on a wonderful showing today, and that is going to close this out with a 2-0 for Mortality.